Alright, here's Chad. So this was before any feedback. So body position good, hips and legs high in the water. Head is good other than a little bit of up and down as you turn to breathe. You can see your left arm is crossing in a fair bit, so it's entering in front of your head, as is your right. I'll talk a little bit more about the pulling when we look at the underwater portion. So, from an above water standpoint, two things that you can work on: extension. When you extend, you want to reach as far forward as possible. So really stretch out your lats. And part two would be reaching in front of your shoulder, excuse me, as opposed to in front of your head. That helps with the strength of the starting pull. When you reach in front of your head, you're going to wind up pulling a little more with bicep and pec muscle as opposed to lat muscle, which is really the primary muscle that you want to use for swimming. If you can minimize the up and down as you turn to breathe, it's not bad. It could be a little better. Your kick looks comfortable. You can see your ankles are a little bit inflexible in that your feet are pointed down or your toes are pointed down. Alright, and here you get a view of rotation, streamline, that sort of thing. Rotation is pretty good. Your hips and legs are staying in the same line as your upper body or your torso, so that is good. Arms look slightly choppy. It's not a real technical term, but where you're kind of like slamming into the water. You know, the smoothness of the stroke sometimes indicates streamline. So maybe reaching in front of your shoulders will help that. So it's more so with your right arm actually is the one that's reaching more across your head. Alright, so the pull, that was all the streamlined stuff. The pull is the one that's going to give you the power boost or strength boost. With that left arm, you're doing a bit of an elbow slip, meaning that your hand and forearm aren't really going vertical in the first part of the stroke. It's that hand and forearm position that really allow you to grab or grip the water. And if your forearm is still tilted at a parallel angle to the bottom of the pool as you pull through, you don't get quite as much grab or power. Your right arm is doing a bit of a better angle, however your forearm is curved or turned under your torso, so that pull winds up being more of a bicep pull, and the issue with that is that your lat muscle is just a longer, better position muscle for that pull. So looking at the right again. So a bit more towards the high elbow, but you would need to just bring that forearm so that it's pretty much straight up and down compared to the bottom of the pool. Left again, yeah, that's more in the elbow slipping than anything. So long story short, with both your arms, do a lot of one arm drill like we did at the session. Think about reaching and then rotating your shoulder internally, and then trying to pull so that your hand and forearm angle straight up and down or almost straight up and down compared to the bottom of the pool, while your upper arm is still extended forward. Here you see the line or the path that you're pulling back. Left, not so bad. Right, definitely under your body, so that one you want to move out somewhat. Right, we filmed this one to look at the starting hand position, so we talked a bit about reaching directly in front of your shoulder as opposed to in front of your head. And this is definitely better. And so again, two things this affects. Streamline, you won't get a wiggle, and part two, more important from this aspect, is that when you start to pull, you're going to use more back muscle.
This is still working on just right arm, right hand starting position. That's good. Oh, reaching directly in front of that shoulder. Looks like a longer reach as well. But yeah, this is automatically helping you get a bit of a better catch with your forearm position in the water. We're working on the push through or the finish of the stroke.
Yeah, so this one we talked about pushing all the way through or finishing the stroke. So it's less of a powerful motion because you're pushing as opposed to pulling, but it adds up, especially when you're talking about longer swims. Basically means trying to keep your hand flat to the back wall as long as possible, and then really pushing more so with the triceps through the finish of the stroke. All right, one arm drill here. One arm drill, you're thinking about the catch. So you reach forward, extend as well as possible, rotate or shrug your shoulder internally just slightly, and then start your pull. Ideal situation, your hand and forearm will angle almost straight up and down, and your upper arm is still going to be extended forward. Flexibility, range of motion are issues here, so stretching, doing shoulder swings, things like that will be helpful. But yeah, you were doing a pretty good job there. There was more video, and I'm going to load that as a second video of the underwater doing single arm, so you can see the difference in your pull. But this is improved over just swimming prior.
So this is just swimming along, thinking about trying to get the catch as well as possible. Using the buoy, that's fine for some training.
All right, here with the freeze frame. So looking at your left arm, extending well, that's pretty good. It could be slightly better, but it's pretty good. And then you start the pull catch. See how your hand and forearm are sort of parallel to the bottom of the pool here, right? And so at this point, you're getting slippage, quote unquote. It's not until way back in the final part of the stroke that your hand and forearm have gone vertical right here. You want to get that position much sooner in the stroke. Looking at your right arm, again, pretty good extension, pretty good rotation. Could be a little better, but that's pretty good. And then you start to pull. Your hand and forearm are now tilting inward or curving onward, so you're getting some catch. It's not perfectly positioned, but that's better. What you want to do is get that same sort of feeling with the hand and forearm more straight up and down. So your right arm is better at this point in time.